Hi, this is Gary. Welcome to today's video. It's the start of May. Wow, isn't the year flying by? So this month, sticking with my monthly themes, it's the colour blue. So what I'm doing is I'm using blue pens and I'm using blue inks. Now the idea is I can compare some of the blue inks that I have to see how they all perform. Now yes, in an ideal world, I'd use the same pen for this, but obviously there's no fun in that. So I've got 6 pens and I've got 6 inks to put in them. Now why 6? Aren't you saying, Gary, you normally do 7? Once I got my Galen leather folio, unfortunately, it's only got spaces for 6 pens. So I thought, rather than having a pen lying around in the bag that might get lost or damaged, I'll just reduce the number of pens down to 6. It's still a nice number, it still gives me plenty of variety. So join me now, down on the mat, and we'll take a look at the pens and the inks that I'm going to be using this month. So here we are down on the mat. Now this may sound strange, but I've been really looking forward to this month. One of the things I've done when I started introducing the idea of themes, it was because I found I was reaching for the same pens each month. So by having a theme, what I'm trying to do is to force myself to use different pens and different inks so I can really explore what I've got available to me. And this month was really interesting, trying to come up with the pens and the ink combinations that I wanted to use. So let's have a look at these. The first pen for this month is this here. You may remember this from last month. This is the Leonardo Momento Grande. It's in that gorgeous dark Hawaii colour. The ink is actually the same as last month's, which is Diamine Saragasso C. So this is obviously a blue base, but it's got that bit of purple coming through. So we're getting a slightly different off blue tone. Again, the idea is let's play around with these and see what they're like with some other blues. Reason why I've got this, well, this pen, it just doesn't want to give up its ink. It really does keep going and going and going. Now, it may run out of ink partway through the month. If it does, I'm going to fill it with a different blue ink. But if it doesn't, then obviously we'll carry on with this. So we've got here a Leonardo Momento Grande. It's quite a long word, isn't it? It only just fits with a medium nib. The ink, I say, is Diamine. I've been told that's how you should pronounce it, so I'm going to try and make sure I do that in the future. Saragasso C. During April, I really enjoyed writing with this, so hopefully it will still carry on going for this month. Let's test our drying. So immediate, we know this is a wet ink. Waiting for 10 seconds. You know, it's still fairly wet, isn't it? 30 seconds. Well, that's dried off quite substantially. Lastly, 1 minute. There we go, after 1 minute. That's nice and, well, it's dry, but it's still smudging a little tiny bit. So we've still got a little bit of wetness in there. So this, pen number 1, is the Leonardo Momento Grande with Diamine Saragasso C. Pen number 2. So this one is a Chinese pen. And it's actually a copy of that Leonardo Momento Zero. Not the Grande version, but its smaller brother. This is the Moonman M800 in the blue colour. The ink I've chosen for this is by Noodlers, and it's Navajo Turquoise. So, yep, still staying roughly in that blue family, but whereas with the Saragasso C, which had a bit of a purple hint to it, this is moving more to that turquoise side. So again, as I said, the idea is to explore different colours, different shades, but staying within that blue family. And that's what I've tried to do with this pick. So here we have the Moonman, M800. I'm going to put blue because I do have a few of them, and this has got a Bock nib and it's fine. The ink, as I said, Noodler, Navajo Turquoise. Now before I go any further, I'll tell you already, This is much scratchier than the Leonardo. Given the fact of the price difference, it's not surprising, but immediately it's something I'm noticing. Let's check for our drying times though. So this is immediate. Really nice and wet. 10 seconds. Not really changing much, is it? 30 seconds. Still got a lot of wetness in there. 1 minute. Even after a minute, there's still a little bit of ink smudging coming off there. So this certainly isn't a fast drying combination. So that's going to be interesting when I do some longer note-taking sessions to see how well that holds up. The next pen is from Jinhao, and it's the Jinhao 992. Now this is in pale blue, so it's a translucent pen, so you can see through it. You can see the converter in there. The ink that I've put in here is by Diamine, and it's royal blue, so a nice in-your-face blue. And this, to me, it really strikes me of the ink that I can remember using at school. That was usually a Parker ink, but it was that really in-your-face blue colour, and that's what I'm seeing in this one. So yeah, this is to me like a standard type blue, and it'll be interesting to see how it compares to some of the other blues that I've got. So here we have a Jinhao. Can you see how small this is? I'm going to have to post it. Jinhao 992. The nib on this is a fine. The ink, Diamine, royal blue. So, it's quite a nice pen to write with this. Before I do my drying samples, I'm going to point something out. The Leonardo Momento Zero Grande is the most expensive pen I own. That was over 400 Australian dollars. The Jinhao 992 is the cheapest pen I own. It was $1.71. So literally 400 times cheaper. Or should I say, this is literally 400 times more expensive. And I'm going to be interested to see how these two especially compare, how that dirt cheap pen compares to that really expensive one. That's going to be a really interesting experiment for me. So anyway, our drying times. Immediate. Yeah, not too bad. 10 seconds. Wow, that's fairly dry already. 30 seconds. Well, that's nice and dry. So this one, it's a candidate for doing them longer note-taking sessions. I'm not even going to bother doing it for a minute. I mean, if it's dry at 30 seconds, it won't get any wetter after a minute, will it? Just going to reposition the paper. Let's make a bit more room so we can see our next pen. The next pen, again, it's a Chinese pen. It's a Penbbs 308. This again, it's in that blue colour. It's a darker blue than the Jinhao, and I've got to be honest, I like this blue. It really looks nice. I like the silver and the way they contrast with each other. It's a cartridge converter pen, and to be honest, apart from the Leonardo, all the pens this month are cartridge converters. The ink that I've picked for this by Robert Oster, and it's Robert Oster Blue Water Ice. This is an interesting blue. I'm really looking forward to trying this out. I've not had this in a pen before, and I think it looks like it's moving a little towards that turquoise side, but nowhere near as much as the Navajo turquoise. Going to be an interesting comparison though, so again, I'd like to see them two going up against each other. So what have we got here? We've got a Penbbs 308 with a medium nib. This is a nice smooth pen to write with. Be interesting again to see how this goes through the month. The ink, Robert Oster. Blue Water Ice. Now, I don't know if this is coming over on the mic, but this is a really loud pen to write with. So if I was going to be sitting in, say, an exam or a quiet room, might not be the one I'd reach for, because I can really hear it as I'm writing. Let's test for wetness. Immediate. We expect it to be like that. 10 seconds. So that's starting to dry off a bit, isn't it? 30 seconds. Still a little bit of wetness in there. Final test, we leave it for 1 minute. So after 1 minute, yeah, that's nice and dry now. So again, another one I'm able to use for note taking. So this, it's the Penbbs 308 with Robert Oster Blue Water Ice. 2 pens left to go. Pen number 5. It's this monster here. It's a Jinhao 159. It is a chunky pen. Now I've got a couple of these and this is the first time I've actually used this particular one. So going to be interested to see if this writes fine. Quite often I find with the Jinhao pens, I do need to do a little bit of tweaking. So that might be something that needs to happen with this during the month. The ink. Lamy Crystal Amazonite. This, it's moving towards that teal end of the blue family. You know, you can definitely see it's a different shade of blue, you know, even here. And it does have shades of green coming out. Going to be interesting to see how this one goes as well. The whole idea of this blue month is to allow me to compare all these different things because I like teals, I like turquoises, I like the Saragasso sea with the purple, but I've not really played with them as a whole combination and not really compared them against each other. So as I've said already, that's part of the reason for doing this. So let's have a look at this one. This is a Jinhao 159. It's got a medium nib. The ink, Lamy Crystal Amazonite. I like the look of this. I do find I'm liking quite a lot of teals at the moment. Test for wetness is media. It's fairly dry, and it does feel, to be honest, and it does feel dry when I'm writing with it. 10 seconds. More or less dry, it's just really at the edges. 30 seconds. At 30 seconds, that's nice and dry, so don't really need to do it for a minute. So here we have a Jinhao 159 with Lamy Crystal Amazonite. Let me just reposition the paper. There we go. So the final pen for this month. So the final pen is this one. This is the HongDian Light of Hope. This, to me, the name of this is so good because think about the year we've all had. We all need that light of hope in our life. And when I saw the name of this pen, well, I just had to buy it because I think it's just so awesome. One of the things I like about this pen is the nib. The nib's blue as well. So this literally is an all blue pen. Pop that back. Take a look at the ink we're going to use. So the ink is by Robert Oster and it's Australian Sky Blue. A really nice vibrant blue colour here. I'm not sure how it's going to work in this nib because the nib is fine and I think it's a Fude fine. So it's going to be interesting to see what the ink looks like when I'm writing with it. So let's take a look at that. What have we got here? We've got a HongDian. Now before I write any more, can you see how small it is? I'm going to have to post this. There we go. Light of Hope. And this has got that fine nib. I don't know if you can see this. This is meant to be what they call a small bent nib. I personally can't see it, but that's what they advertise it as. The ink, Robert Oster, Australian Sky Blue. Now, I can see a load of shading coming through on this. I'm not sure if it will show up on the camera or not. Really like the look of this ink. It really seems to be performing well so far in this pen. So I'll be interested in how does it go on for the rest of the month. Drying times. Immediate. Again, it's another really wet ink. 10 seconds. Well, that's dried off a bit, hasn't it? 30 seconds. And this is another one. After 30 seconds, that's nice and dry. So another candidate for note taking. That's going to be nice. So here we have the HongDian Light of Hope with Robert Oster Australian Sky Blue. I'm just going to clear this all off and we'll take one final look at the pens that I'm going to be using during May of 2021. So this month's pens, we've got the Leonardo Momento Zero Grande, the Moonman M800, Jinhao 992, Penbbs 308, Jinhao 159, and the HongDian Light of Hope. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. How about these pens? What do you think of them? Is there anything you'd like me to look at when I'm using these pen and ink combinations? Any specific things? Any questions you've got about them? If there is, please drop a comment below. Let's kickstart the conversation and give me some ideas of things you'd like me to be exploring with these pens. Please hit the thumbs up button. The more people that like and comment on my videos, it just helps that YouTube algorithm with surfacing my content for other people. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.